We do appreciate that. Going down the line, recognizing guests and visiting officials. I do see a few guests on the line. I'd like to thank all of you guys for joining us today in this conversation we're going to be having today, listening to the presentation. Review and adopt the agenda. Can I get help accepting the agenda?
Doing. Wrong doing.
Yeah.
Okay, I can read the agenda. Thank you, Tatiana. Agenda of the Missing and Murdered the Never Relatives Task Force of the Navigator Committee, 25th Nomination Council, March 12, 2026, 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Presiding Honorable Amber Canal Spot Party Chairperson, Tatiana Billy Co-Chair. Speaker's Office, Location, Budget, Finance Committee, Office Room, Rock, Arizona. 1, call meeting to order, roll call and invocation. Number 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. Number 3, review the adopt agenda. Number 4, receive report. A, report from Gloriana Benali, Family Partnership Coordinator, Rock Point Community School, Rock Point, Arizona, regarding human trafficking and awareness and prevention. Going to 5, old business, 9, 6, new business. 9, 7, close the meeting, announcement and adjournment. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Libby. We're going on the line, so we do have our presenter on the line, Gloriana Benali from Rockwood Community School. Gloriana, are you ready to present?
Yes, can you hear me?
So thank you for joining us today. I do know that your habits, we're kind of a little bit sick, but we do appreciate you coming on the line. And we'll go ahead and get for over to you whenever you're ready.
Okay, may I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead. What you have?
Okay, good morning. Yada bene. She Gloriana Benalianisha. Tatne sahnin shlon kintlachini bashishtin, ashi dashache do betahni a dashanella. Tensades dene be oltrati a nashnish. I'm the Family Partnership Coordinator at Rock Point Community School, and thank you for allowing me to present the event that we hold in April. I wanted to let you know that I think it was a month ago, I attended one of your online webinars regarding human trafficking, and I thought it was a very good presentation, and it got me thinking. This is something that all students should be aware of, and our communities need to be aware of, because we have students that go off the reservation, like on field trips, sports trips, or even going out with their families. And I think our community and our students should be aware of what's going on and all the dangers, especially in the city. And even around here, it's there are kids being kidnapped or online. On one of the webinar that I attended, I remember there was a presentation, someone talking about like Snapchat and how Roblox, and I think students need to learn the dangers of that. So I'll go ahead and talk about our conference. We have our conference every April. This April will be our 7th annual, and it will be on April 24th on a Friday. And the reason why we do this for our school is we believe wellness is deeply connected to identity, responsibility, and community. And today's meeting is about building something meaningful that reflects those core values and supports the whole student experience. And the way we do our conference is it's an all-day conference where students rotate through multiple sessions and they gain practical tools, real life skills, and awareness. Our goal is for every student to leave informed, supported, and confident in their ability to navigate challenges. And they learn about prevention strategies, they gain knowledge and skills, they gain empowerment, and they also gain resources. And we have our curriculum outcome for our conference. These well-being goals are not separate from academics. They're aligned to our curriculum. Health education strengthens identity and responsibility. Wellness supports intellectual growth, and physical activity aligns with kinesthetic development. So they get strong positive indigenous identity, active traditional spirituality, responsibility to family and community, and cognitive and intellectual development, and kinesthetic physical development. So I'm asking for like one of our sessions to be about human trafficking or dangers of having online accounts. That will go under mental health awareness. And some of the topics that we do at our conferences have to do with anxiety, depression, suicide ideation, building positive self-identity, resume writing, bullying prevention, and I also included dangers of trafficking, car seat safety, vaping awareness, physical health and life skills, and we also do presentations on cultural awareness. And here's another outline of how our conference goes. The students are K to 12, and the elementary stays in the elementary building. 6 to 12 stay in the secondary building. And the way we have done it in the past is all students go on a 1-mile walk in the morning. When they return, then they go into their breakout sessions. And we have the elementary gym for resource booths or demonstrations. And then students go about 6 to 7 breakout sessions throughout the day. And the last hour, we usually have a motivational speaker close it out for us. In the previous years, we had Mr. Pax Harvey talk to our students. We had Mr. Lauren Anthony talk to our students. And some local community members that come in to talk to our students. And it's an all-day event. The sessions last about 40 to 45 minutes. And The reason why I'm presenting today is seeking some presenters that could come to our school. And if you have any questions for me, I can answer those for you. And again, ahiha ntsgaga for allowing me to present to you.
Thank you, Gloria. Is that the end of the presentation?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm kind of away from this microphone, but does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, that will conclude.
Okay, thank you for that, Gloriana, for the presentation. I think we now have quorum here, is that correct?
Is Amber online?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Because we only have.
Who's all online?
Oh, are we able to ask questions? Yeah, okay, all right, so we'll open up the floor for any questions, any recommendations. Do we have any questions from any of the task force members or visiting guests? Okay, not hearing anything. Gloriana, I did have a recommendation. If you are seeking, presenters for any of these, events that you're hosting at the school, you can get in contact with either myself or Andrea. And we can get you, contacts for a few of our members here. Because we do have individuals who work with, advocacy work, we do prevention work. We have individuals from different types of, nonprofit organizations. But, I do have a question. Have you reached out to any of the coalitions to assist with your presentations? Like the, Stop Violence Against Native Women, the Southwest Indians Women's Coalition, or anything like that?
I have not. I've been reaching out to IHS. They've been helping me with finding presenters. And that would be great though, if I could get some contact information and I can reach out to them.
Okay, at the end of the call, I'll give you some contact information just to help you with that presentation part. Do we have any questions for this one by chance? I do see a few of you guys that's unmuted, so I just wanted to double check. Hearing anything, no, okay. So. The only presentation on for today.
Yeah.
When the vote on it?
We don't.
Okay, so we are going to. Move along because we do not have form, we can't accept the report yet. So we're going to look to see if any of our other task force members join on the line. So we're on the agenda, we have old business none, new business none. And we have the closing meeting announcements and adjournment. Do you have any announcements from the past board members? Do you guys have any, events going on that you'd like to share with everyone? Or would it be called?
We just have Nobby meeting today at 10 o'clock. Nobby had to get meeting for council.
Okay. So, we do have Navi today at 10 o'clock, if anyone would like to sit in and listen to the phone as well. Just for a quick announcement, there has been some changes for the MMPR task force training session that's gonna be hosted on March 26th. Originally, it was gonna be a two-part session, going one for the CAPE training and then going into the title community response training. But after discussing this with the two presenters, we came to the conclusion that it would be best to host these two training sessions at once. So instead of having CAPE training from 8 to 9 o'clock to 1, we're going to have both the child abduction to have exercise training level 2 and the travel community response plan all together. So it'll go from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So everyone who's registered through the Google Doc form, I will be emailing you guys out today to send out the other registrations, the Kate level 2, because that's gonna be the only registration. It does require you to go through a lengthy process to register, but that's just through the presenter's process. So that's just my only announcement for today, that the CAPE training and TCRP training will all be on one day.
1 day training.
It's a 1 day training, it's gonna be from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
And where is it gonna be at?
This is gonna be hosted at the Navajo Division of Transportation Conference Center. So when you enter into the building, there would be one big building. And then there's another conference center right behind it. And we haven't had the confirmation of the room number yet, but once we get that, we'll email that out to everybody.
This is on March 26th.
Yes, March 26th at 9 o'clock.
We have Nobby meeting on that day too.
Yeah, that was the only day we were able to schedule a city. And we tried changing it last week, but there were a lot of issues going on with that. Then we see some.
Sabina, this is Delegate Crotty. Can you help us? Can you make the announcement on the Dine action plan? And any information that you have about that right now. I'm not sure how the task force has been involved to get ready for our next presentation to the next Dine action plan.
Yes,
gathering.
they put some information in the chat, so I'll read off what she put down. For the Dine action plan, spring gathering registrations required is required. The that spring registration page is now up, and that's gonna be ndcfs.org/spring-2026-registration/. And that information should also be posted up on the Division for Children and Family Services social media page. And that's gonna be on March 20th March 19th to the 20th. The location will be in Gallup, New Mexico. Day 1 will be hosted at Gallup campus at the Student Support Center. And day 2 will be hosted at Fire Rock Casino, the conference center. And as far as the task force being involved with any reports, I did reach out to Salanta, the co-chair for the DAP, but I did ask her if MMDR need to prepare any type of reports or any type of presentation. Because usually they do request that from the task force, and her response was that no, we're not going to need any reports done. I think we're going to be going over our 5-year plan and then drafting the next 5 years.
Okay, Shadisha, thank you, because one of the action plan is NMDR task force. We have recommended $500,000 through the action plan, and I'm not sure what type of support they're providing to the task force at this time. I know that they have that evaluator, which if it's still the same company, has not reached out to try to give guidance to the task force or how to continue to incorporate into the 5-year plan. The other challenge with the Dine action plan is we're requesting data, the data from Division of Public Safety regarding police department and criminal investigators data. This is an ongoing request that's going on to year 2. And so collectively, the Dine action plan has, an agreement that Navajo Nation programs will share data. And I'm not exactly sure then how the Dine action plan, they have their leadership. So their co-chair is Division Director Henderson with Public Safety. And the other co-chair is the Deputy Division Director of Children and Family Services, Salata Jim. And so these are 2 key programs that are critical to our missing and murdered Dine relatives and providing resources to our communities. And so I'm not exactly, so I'm going to try to attend in person. So, but before the 26th, we should come back with a letter in terms of what are some of our expectations on why the $500,000 was requested for the task force to support, because it's been 6 months since October 1st. October, November, December, January, February, March. Yeah, the end of this month will be 6 months, and it's not clear how that allocation has helped the task force with capacity, meeting our goals and our tasks. It still is reliant upon our core team, which is about five individuals. So 5 individuals across Navajo Nation are consistently working on the issue, and we're not getting the, Ms. Azua Shade, she's with the office president, vice president. She's on the call. She's a task force member. So I think logically there's really no reason why we're not getting the information that we're requesting so that we could meet our goals as a task force, to develop the Data Institute, to provide more resources to our community members, to make sure that there's training and public education when it comes to prevention, holistic healing. And so those are areas that I would want to collectively just have a conversation before the 26th meeting with DAP so that it's clear that they know the expectation and then what is the reality. So the reality is, our membership, our volunteers do 98% of the work, and then the community outside of the nation thinks that Navajo Nation is so progressive. But if any of the 5 of us were to step away, we wouldn't see the type of commitment to our missing and murdered Dine relatives. And that's a systemic issue that needs to be addressed. And Navajo Nation government, itself needs to make the commitment on how they are going to address this crisis and be part of the solutions. So I wanted to bring that to the attention of the task force members. And if you're not clear as a task force member how we have supported the financial allocation to the Dine action plan, we can go back to our notes. But they did request the division, and it's housed at the Division for Children and Family Services. During the budget process, I was reassured that this funding is needed and that it would address not only our missing and murdered Dine relatives, but violence prevention, suicide prevention, and substance abuse prevention. And so I think what the community is dealing with on the ground, we have to, make some assurance that this initiative is in fact, not just a meeting, but we are changing individual lives. So that could be the conversation for the 5-year goal. But just having a meeting consistently is not the goal. The true goal is to reduce violence in our communities. So I wanted to expand on that announcement with our task force members here for the record and having quorum with the task force. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I do have all that written down in my notes. We did have a request from one of the task force members to get an update from, Adobe on their funding request from DCFS. Are we okay to talk about that online?
I'm okay with it. No objection.
Okay. So this request has come from one of our task force members, Laurel Shepherd, and we just, Adobe, we see you on the line, are you able to, ask us or to, give us an update on that?
Good morning.
Hi.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
My name is Brenda Joey. I am the lead advocate here at Adobe, Chinling, Arizona. And we during January 26th, the walk in the Window Rock, Amber, she wanted to collaborate with us to do a conference sometimes in May for the MMDR. I just want to know if we are still going to do that.
Yes, so we do have two individuals on the Division of Behavioral Mental Health Services. That's gonna be Kobe Segay and Raphael Begay. Their division is working on a MMPR symposium. And if you'd like to be added onto the agenda is still in draft mode, so we can add you on there and make sure you guys have time to present during that time.
Okay.
Tatiana, I have a question here. So, one of the task force members asked for Adobe to do a follow-up and see if Adobe applied for the RFP that was reissued. That was one of the questions.
So that was from Laurel. Laurel, can you ask a question on there, just to make sure that we're asking the right question here?
Yes, Yate. A few months ago, Dobby came to the task force requesting support regarding a grant that was allocated to them from the state in the amount of 500,000 to support their organization. And as a result of that public meeting that occurred, Department of Family Services stated that they were going to reissue the RFP back out, and that was completed recently. I saw it listed on their website, and I'm wondering if Adobe applied because this was in support of their cause. We should have it all in notes, but I'm just wondering if we can close that one out now.
Adobe, do you have a response to that? Did you guys apply for that?
Yes, Adobe did the RFP, so that's going in this morning. And we applied for that. Thank
So
you.
it's not reissued yet, you just now applied for it?
Today is the deadline, so we did apply for it.
Okay, thank you.
They're
Okay,
applying for it.
okay, we'll reach back out to you to get an update on that. We wanna make sure that you guys are being funded and you guys are being taken care of, which you provide really good service, critical service in the nation. Laurel, does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you for that. We do have Samantha on the line. I just wanted to quickly ask us to make sure that, that we're prepared for the spring gathering. Samantha, does the task force need to prepare any kind of reports or anything like that for the DAP, just so that we're prepared for the conversation?
Good afternoon, task force members. Tatiana, thank you. No, the MMDR task force does not need to report any kind of documents for the meeting. As I said in my email, so we'll just have you all attend and participate in our overall 5-year report. The other thing I wanted to share is we right now the DAP advisory council is also trying to get our group members active as well. So when we do group in the spring gathering next week, we want to identify new advisory group representatives because we've had a low turnout as well. So just an update, we want to get those updated representatives for the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Samantha. I just wanted to make sure that, we're just prepared for that. Let's see here. Do we have any more further questions or any announcements to make while we're online? Not seeing anything.
Shadeja, this is the
Go ahead.
task force. If we want to present to the upcoming Navajo Studies Conference, a few years ago, we did present at the conference, and that's how we were able to start initiating the Data Institute. There was partners in the room from NAU Public Health, Criminology, and Gwinnett College Public Health who helped us, establish the framework for the institution. I know we have talked collectively about processing evidence and the time it takes for DNA to be processed, especially when it's a deteriorated sample. Because when our relatives are found several years later. So I wanted to ask from the task force if anyone is interested in developing a presentation to provide to the study conference that is upcoming, and if it is, in fact, right now, the evidence, either the collection, because we did hear from a family, I'm not sure if it was in our official capacity, but, the evidence they collected, and it was, many weeks before a law enforcement came back to pick up those bloody articles. And I just wanted to see, is there another top priority for the task force or to move forward to advocate to get more, either an evidence lab here on Navajo Nation, or at least one of those mobile DNAs that we see surrounding our nation, or if there's another priority for the task force, then we can present that at the studies conference. Thank you, Shadida.
Thank you for that, Shannon. Maybe we'll talk about that in, on a Tuesday call, so we can establish who can help us with that presentation. I think it's gonna be a little bit more in-depth conversation, so we know who is gonna get a point of contact and who's going to do the presentation. Okay. So it looks like you don't have any other announcements. Let's see. So we do have some comments in the chat, from Salonza. DAP, the action plan does not have an office or staff, we are an advisory group. If you have questions, please reach out to Chair Michael Hendrickson or, myself, and she left her email and phone number in the chat. So thank you for that, Salonza. Now you see your hand raised, Laurel, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, this is Delegate Cardi. Thank you, Shada, for, yes, it is an advisory group. So let us know how that 500,000 is being used. Because it's not clear to me after 6 months. Because if it's just to fund the gatherings, I think that should be a discussion that we have as a task force to say, do we recommend, are we just recommending gatherings to come together? And how is that benefiting? Because I sponsored the legislation for the Dine Action Plan. So is that money being used to move those initiatives forward? Or is it, there may be other ways that we can work with the Division for Children and Family Services to identify how to use that funding so that we can move forward some of our initiatives, because there is 4 different areas, and $500,000 is a very generous amount of funding. We just talked with Adobe, and to compare how we're looking at how much do we invest in the system to get things moving, or should our recommendations in the future just be for direct services? Because so many of our families still need that advocacy and those resources. So it's something as a task force we'll have to discuss, especially as the budget season is coming up. Navajo Nation budget season starts the end of March. So I believe it's March. I think the law says the last day of March. And so we'll be also going through how Navajo Nation programs and others like NTU, the advocates, how they've used those dollars and how we're going to make recommendations into the future. So we could officially write, Lorraine, if we could write that memo to the advisory and get that information on whoever is utilizing the funds. Thank you.
Salonza, I do see your hand raised. Go ahead, you can now respond.
Thank you, Delegate Crotty. Right now, from what I understand, though, that 500 has not been drawn down yet due to the delays at the finance level. And I will see if we can get more updates on it, but we do want to present that to the spring gathering of the advisory group. And the advisory group can help inform how those funds can be spent. So we hope that we have a good meeting next week so we can discuss all of that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Salonza. Laurel, I do see your hand raised. If you want to ask anything.
Yes, I wanted to go back to Delegate Karati's request regarding the presentation to a group regarding how we should prioritize either creating a lab or mobile lab for evidence. I wanted to, I guess, make this, since we are on a public call, to my knowledge right now, there is no contract with a lab from law enforcement to process any type of evidence unless it goes under FBI investigation. And so this is a huge concern, and some pieces that might be, the immediate fix might be to make a contract, to create a contract while we work towards that ultimate goal of having our own lab, because that's definitely going to be a process, but I definitely think that we should invest in that. And I'm interested in working with the group that is going to create this presentation, just as my intimate knowledge with this piece. Quita?
Thank you for that, Laurel. So the Law and Order Committee, we're finalizing their public safety booklet, and there's a lot of good information in there about this, but I'll send it out to the core team just so that we can all review it and just see what's being reported to the Law and Order Committee, because there are some information that the task force has been requesting. So I'll make sure to share that with everyone, and then we'll come back to this conversation. But I'll work with Andrea and a few of our other task force members to see what we can do to figure out what we can do where it comes to DNA and to the labs here on the National Nation. So this doing a time check, it is 9:33 a.m. and it looks like we're at the end of our agenda.
Nothing. This is Delegate Cruddy. Shadasia, did you want to give a quick update on the camouflage alert to the task force members? That is also another initiative we started as we were not able to meet or get quorum for the task force.
Yes. So I believe this was like 2 weeks ago, almost, yeah, 2.5 weeks ago. I did meet with some of my colleagues here within the office of speaker, one being Arthur Hardy, who helps represents veterans on the Navajo Nation, along with the Central Commander Kyle. I didn't put his last name, but his first name was Kyle, and we had a really good conversation, and this was between some of our task force members, Laurel Shepherd, Andrea Vidal, we had Benji Shorty on the line. I believe we had one more individual, but we had a really good lengthy conversation about the idea of a camouflage alert system. So the idea was to create an alert system for our veterans who are experiencing either behavioral problems and who are on different types of therapeutic like assistance. Because last year we had a case that came before the task force where a veteran went missing and there was really no response to his case. So the response or for this, we're now in talks about how to create an alert system for our veterans. And during the TCRP, we've invited the commander and Arthur Hardy.
10 minutes.
The
timer.
Yeah. Hey, Christy, just to let you know, you're unmuted right now. I don't know if somebody can mute her.
Okay. But we did invite them to join us during our PCRP and Kate level 2 training to go further into that discussion so we can have that a part of the PCRP. So that was the outcome of that meeting. It was a really good discussion. We had a lot of good ideas thrown out there. And we decided that we're going to meet up again to see if we can finalize the language for this alert system. But we want to go with the TCRP training so we can have everyone on the floor and we can have a more in-depth conversation about this camouflage alert system. And I don't know if I missed anything, but Laurel, did you want to add anything from that conversation? Or Andrea?
No, I don't have anything to add. You pretty much covered much of it. I don't know if Laurel has anything to add herself.
Hi, this is Laurel. Just for context on why we're exploring another alert system when it comes to our veterans is from the lack of our current alert system with Everbridge that hasn't sent out an alert since October 2025. We're trying to look at other resources that are available to provide these services to our relatives just to bring further community safety. But we also recognize that this could be it could flood the system with alerts, and we recognize that, and we're exploring all pieces with and how to work with our veterans as well too. So I just wanted to add that for context.
Thank you for that, Andrea and Laurel. Go ahead and see your hand, please.
Yeah, sorry, Laurel just reminded me of something. I do want to add also for context that from like a community resource perspective, this is also an area that we struggle with when we're trying to assist with searches when it comes to veterans or mental health or even children, just because of the sensitivity that it's hard to connect with certain programs just because we don't have that, I guess, that level that law enforcement would have. So hopefully these discussions will help provide an avenue of how we can obtain information just to make sure that our missing loved ones are getting the help that they do need. Family members do understand that they may not want to come home, but I think the bigger concern is that they are out there alive, and also that they are getting the services that they are seeking. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Andrea, for adding into that. So that's our update with the camouflage alert system. I don't know if anyone has any questions about all of that. Raphael, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so the folks on the call may be familiar, but SAMHSA does have a Veterans Crisis Line. Veterans or those who have veterans within their family can dial 988, then press 1. In referencing this particular national resource, I was curious to see if Camo Alert works with 988 for veterans. So just doing a quick Google search, it does state that they do work in tandem and in support of Camo Alert. So as these conversations move forward, I would just stress that, or stress the importance of coordinating with 988, just to ensure that Navajo Nation's Camo Alert is part of the network when it comes to the national resources. Should those in need not be aware of Camo Alert, but are working through 988, and they can work in tandem together. I'm not entirely familiar with the system, but I just know that it's an available resource, and I thought I'd offer that to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Raphael. I have that written down in my notes, and we'll touch base on that. The team who's working on the camouflage alert system, and we'll bring that up during the TCRP too, just so that we're all aware of those resources that are out there. Ms. Linda, the time check is 9:40 a.m.
This is Delegate Cotty. So I wanted to give an update to the task force regarding our recommendation to Four Corners Canine Search and Rescue. That initial allocation there has not been a contract established for Canine Four Corners Search and Rescue. I'm sorry, Four Corners Canine Search and Rescue. I apologize. Andrea, through the Office of President Vice President. So I just wanted to get an update from Andrea. Has your organization received any update from the Office of President Vice President on the funding that was approved to help build up your capacity for search and rescue? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Delegate Crotty. We have not received any funding or any paperwork or any updates regarding the next steps, just that it's still in process.
Okay, appreciate that. Yolanda Shada with the Office of President, Vice President, could you provide an update to the task force in terms of that funding request? There was and because there's a disagreement on the status if that funding is available to, so council stance is that funding was appropriated to Four Corners Canine Search and Rescue, and the Office of the President, Vice President stance is they have the authority to transfer that funding to their operating budget. And so what council and I sponsored a budget transfer at our last session is to make sure that there is funding for the Four Corners Canine Search and Rescue. If you could give the task force an update at our next meeting, as it's critical that we get these contracts in process, because Navajo Nation law does state that all of the funding has to be used by the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th. But often these programs, because of how we close out our accounts, have to spend the money by August 1st. And so it's really hard for these organizations contracts to be delayed. And if you could look into the other contracts for, I'm not sure if Northern Arizona Victim Witness Services have received their contract, or Utah Navajo Health Service. If you could help us out in that effort, that would be great. Thank you.
Yolanda, are you able to respond to the parties' questions and requests?
Good morning, this is Yolanda from Office of the President, Vice President's Office. I am not allowed to speak on the Four Corners Canine Search and Rescue funding, but I can speak on behalf and look into the Northern Arizona Witness Service and also the Utah Navajo Health Services. Thank you.
Yolanda, can you give the task force an update on what you're allowed to speak on for the Victim Witness Services?
Good morning, team. We are working on it, but it's part of a litigation right now. Sorry.
Thank you for that update, Yolanda. Appreciate it. Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, I just want to comment on it wouldn't be part of a litigation if the Office of President and Vice President would just do the right thing and contract that money on who it was appropriated for. There's also a budget transfer that also allocates money to Four Corners Search and Rescue if the stance is that money cannot be used because it's in litigation. And so there can be, that budget transfer needs to be honored by the Office of Management and Budget, Mr. Bial, and there would be funding available for this contract in needed services when it comes to search and rescue. I could provide an outline to the task force on where we're at and how in the future what Navajo Nation laws we have to change so that nonprofits do not have to rely on Navajo Office of President, Vice President, or any other executive programs to get their contracts secured. So that could also be a strong recommendation from the task force and maybe look for a fiscal sponsor who could help the nonprofits who are doing the direct services and filling in the gaps that Navajo Nation programs, because of capacity, because of leadership, are unable to provide those resources to our community members. I'm talking with, hopefully we could talk with like Navajo United Way. We have a lot of strong connections. As the Deputy Division Director of Public Safety, used to be the Executive Director and has social service background, and or looking at maybe our tribal colleges to be the fiscal agent, because everyone relies on a Navajo Nation program to move the contracts forward. And so we're 6 months into the fiscal year, and I don't think any contract has been finalized for any of the funding. So it is a concern as we talk about resources being deployed out to the communities. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Shredded. Just a quick question, did you want me to schedule a meeting with, Navajo United Ways and the colleges to possibly just kind of start the conversation on them being fiscal agents to issue out these contracts for our nonprofit organizations?
Yeah, let's do that at one of our core calls on a Tuesday call, so that we can just get really into the nitty gritty of what we see that nonprofits need, like Adobe, like the Kieta Shelter. There's another search and rescue, I believe, is based out of the Hard Rock area, and so there are organizations that want to help. It's a challenge to navigate the Navajo system, and for programs themselves, there's a system issue, there's a capacity issue, but at the end of the day, it's hurting services to our people. So let's have that call, and maybe they could invite others who are fiscal agents that could possibly partner with Navajo Nation to be that like nonprofit arm, and set up a system that works better to deploy the resources. Because we also need transparency, accountability. We can't just give money to a random nonprofit because there's someone's brother, sister that are doing things. It has to be a nonprofit that has trust in the community and is doing the work. Thank you.
Okay. I'll start getting in contact with individuals and start setting up this meeting. Okay, so we're now at the end of the agenda, close of meeting, announcements and adjournment. Including time checks, it is now 9:29 a.m. Do we have any other comments, recommendations before we end the call? Okay, not seeing anything. I just like to thank everyone who's on the line today and listening. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Regina Roanhorse from USDOJ Federal Prosecutor's Office. I know that this is a conflict on the day that you all are doing your CATE and your TCRP training, but I am working in New Mexico as well. I sent an invite out for a presentation from NCMEC, again, Dr. Payment. He kind of revised his PowerPoint to include more data. And then also the New Mexico Healthcare Authority is going to be working with NCMEC to provide the presentation over Zoom. And then the local collaborative 16, which is a Native American Behavioral Health Coalition. This is like your public health partners out there who are actually doing work in the community. They have offered to assist with internet safety. And I applaud the work for Ms. Benali, I believe is her last name. But so what they want to do as a local collaborative near Bernalillo County, where a lot of people go missing is Albuquerque area. So I reached out to them because that's an area where a lot of our relatives go missing. So anyway, they want to kick off the event with this presentation, but they also want to do discussion groups. They call it coffee pot discussions on how to deploy the products that NCMEC is going to put together. So they've been working with Dr. Payment very intensely, asking him questions, etc. So I know it's a conflict, but for those of you who can't make it to the Kate and the TCRP, it's going to be like a 2-hour discussion about MMIP. I just want to applaud everyone for the work that they're doing. I know that this is difficult work. There are systems that you bump up against, challenges fiscally, administratively, but don't give up and keep moving forward. And I applaud your work as the MMDR task force. Thank you.
Senator Regina, this is Delegate Crotty with the question. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm unmuted.
Oh, okay. So thank you for raising the issues in the Albuquerque area when it comes to our relatives. I wanted to bring to your attention and have a follow-up conversation with the partners out in Albuquerque area. Next week at the Northern Agency, I'll be helping, possibly co-sponsoring a resolution to address how Albuquerque treats our relatives. Recently, or actually tomorrow will be the funeral, had a relative who was detained by Albuquerque. Well, I don't want to go into the specifics of the case, and I'm trying to connect the family with an advocate, but what ultimately happened when he was released with no resources, eventually he succumbed to the weather and perished because of exposure. And so I would want to connect with you and the partnership there in Albuquerque, because that is something that we need to address. That could be a preventative measure, especially as the FBI analyst in the past, and it's something we need him to come back. If you could help us, if you could present to the task force, is, we do know that our relatives, if he can't state it like 6 times, have some kind of contact with the criminal justice system. And so if we could tie up all of these loose ends, that would be helpful. And I will share that resolution with the task force. It was brought up yesterday at a chapter meeting. And so I wanted to make sure that that is also an area that we address as we're going to connect more with our urban partners to help make sure that we're safe. Yeah, thank you, Shannon, for being on the call.
Okay, thank you. I'll get back with you.
So it looks like we're now at the end of our meeting here. It's 9:55 a.m. So Lorraine, since we do not have one, will we just end the call without pushing vote? Okay. So thank you everyone for joining on the call today, and thank you to everyone who gave their responses. So it was a very productive meeting, and it looks like we still have a lot of work ahead of us to ensuring that all of our nonprofits, our organizations are funded, that we're continuing to bring services to our American people. And I think we all have that same goal to make sure that our people are safe and they are receiving services, and that they're just not left behind in the dark, and that we're being as transparent as possible with all of our American people. So thank you to everyone for joining us today. Just a few announcements on my end. We do have another upcoming public task force meeting. And that's going to be in April, because the 26th is gonna be our open public conversation, so if you'd like to join us for those training sessions, you're more than welcome to. But after that, we do have a meeting scheduled for April 9th at the same time, 8:30 AM to 10 o'clock AM, that's gonna be the levy law. They're gonna be giving us some presentations on some of the work that they're doing. I'm still, waiting on their presentation to be sent out, and once I get that in, I'll email that out to the entire task force. And it looks like we'll end the call here tonight at 9:57 AM. Thank you to everyone for joining on the call. We'll see you next time.